Hi, this is going to be hopefully a brief video response to NephilimFree about a video he posted called Whale Evolution Pseudoscience, which was a Skype discussion between him and Yoshimo1. I hope I'm pronouncing the name correctly. I thought there was I'm not going to go, obviously I could make hours of video. Those of you who know me, I can make hours of video for every 5 minutes of their video. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to try to keep this brief and just address a couple of points that kind of got my attention when I was watching the video, primarily regarding basic anatomy, sexual anatomy of male mammals, whale anatomy, and specifically Basilosaurus. So I will get started on this.
Did you know that those bones are called ischia and what their purpose is?
Just FYI, Nephi, it's the bones that you're talking about are pronounced ischia, not ischia, okay? It's a soft CH sound, okay? Ischia.
Well, I would posit to you that that's not possible, okay? But the base of the penis or clitoris of an animal being attached to bones that moved left and right every time the creature walked would cause such internal stresses and damage that would occur exceedingly fast. Evolution could not produce, therefore, something like that. These bones are called ischia, and they're anchors for the penis, or in the male whale, the penis is comprised of two parts. It's the capora cavernosa of the penis splits into two, capora cavernosa, and each one is anchored to one of these bones in a whale, male whale. And they are anchor bones because the creature has got a huge penis, and mating is a kind of a violent, rough thing for whales.
All right, so it's clear from that explanation of whale genital anatomy that you don't know a whole lot about penis anatomy of mammals in general. At least I don't believe. At least you're not reflecting that in your explanation.
Ah, yes. Now I wanted to talk to you about something. Something about, well, something I know that we humans get a little embarrassed about. It's a bit of a taboo subject, not the sort of thing we like to sit around and chat about in polite conversation.
Crichton, I'm an enlightened 23rd century guy. Spit it out, man.
Well, I want to talk to you about my penis.
Okay, I apologize for my crappy drawing. I'm an invertebrate zoologist. I'm not an artist. Damn it, Jim. But I want to hopefully get the point across here. So I have color-coded this to make it clearer, to hopefully compensate for my crappy artistry. So I've outlined, the bones are outlined in black, penis is outlined in green, erectile tissue is blue, and muscles are red. Okay, so keep that in mind. I'll try to reemphasize that fact. So I'm just going to briefly do, this is a human, obviously, but this applies to all mammals, okay? This applies from platypuses to gibbons to elephants to blue whales, okay? This applies to all of them more or less, okay? Same basic structures are going to be in place. So, but I'm hoping to emphasize one of the many mistakes that you made there, NephilimFree, in this diagram. Okay, so the basic parts. Okay, now this is the sacrum. This is actually a series of fused vertebrae that are fused together, forming the sacrum in non-whale mammals. How about that? Okay, now the pelvis. This whole structure here is collectively known as the pelvis. But each kind of split it in half. It's in two pieces. The pelvis is composed of 3 separate bones. The largest part in humans, at least, is this right here, which is called the ilium. Okay, the ilium, the iliac blade on the ilium. Now the ilium is attached to 2 other of the pelvic bones. This one right here, this is kind of a V shape. It's called the pubic bone, or pubis. And this little bit down here, which is really the main part of the pelvis in reality, even though it's small, is called the ischium. Okay, not ischium, ischium. All right. Okay, so that's the basic, and here it's just mirrored on this side. I also drew a sort of a even worse crude drawn femur to show how it would attach into this joint here. Okay, into the ball and socket joint. All right. So now the basic really basic penis anatomy, only showing those structures that are relevant to this talk. Again, I've outlined the outline of the penis in green to make some sense out of that. Inside the penis, there are actually 3 erectile structures. I'm only going to talk about the 2 relevant ones, which are the corpus cavernosum. Okay, now there's actually, even though it's one structure, it's fused. It's actually two separate things. We actually have 2 corpus cavernosa that are fused along most of their length. At the base, however, they diverge not into 2 separate corpus cavernosa. The base is called the crura. Okay, so the base of the corpus cavernosa is called the crura. I believe the origin is rooted in horns. There's a root word. I don't quite recall what it is. I think it's anyway. I'm not gonna. The point is that the crura, they're horn-like structures that are the base of the corpus cavernosa. The crura are attached to a muscle called, get this, it's called the the ischiocavernosa muscle. Ischiocavernosa. Remember, ischio. The ischio refers to this structure right here. This collectively here is called the ischiopubic ramus. The ischiocavernosa muscle connects the corpus cavernosum to the ischiopubic ramus. Okay, sort of see the naming convention there. So this muscle is attached right there and right there. So that's basic. This is going to apply again to all mammals.
Mm-hmm. The bones, well, if that happened, then the bones probably developed after the legs were stopped being used.
They couldn't have. They're a part of its reproductive system. The organism wouldn't have had a reproductive system that would support the creature's weight if it had not had its reproductive organs mounted to these bones in cartilage.
Well,
Reproduction would be impossible for a very heavy creature like a whale without some kind of anchor for its reproductive organ.
Whales grew bigger after they became sea-ridden. And elephants, their bones aren't. As far as I know, their genitals aren't mounted in bones.
Which one? Elephants? Yeah, elephants don't weigh 16 tons and have penises 12 feet long and big around as a soccer ball either.
Okay, Nephilim-Free, you seem to be, from what you said, under the idea that somehow these ischia, as you call them, ischia is how they're pronounced, are somehow a separate structure that has no relationship to any walking mammal structure, as if we evolutionists are trying to suggest that whales lost their pelvis and legs and then evolved by some magical mechanism this ischia to hold their penis in place. Nobody says that. That is a straw man, and I don't think it's a deliberate straw man. I think you just don't know what you're talking about, well, as per usual. What happened in whale evolution, and we have fossils, we wouldn't even necessarily need fossils. We have developmental biology, we have molecular biology, that to sort of tells the same story here. But anyway, what happened in whales is that, okay, their legs became reduced and finally lost. But before that even happened, completely happened, just like we see in sea lions, today, for example, seals and sea lions, is that this attachment here got really flexible and loose, okay? Is not attached like it is in land-based animals. We see this, again, in sea lions, okay? That's why they're, if you ever see that they flip their back legs underneath their body, they can do that because of the way that the rotation here at the sacroiliac joint. But that's an aside. In whales, primitive whales that still have well-developed back legs, or at least partially developed back legs, this is no longer connected at all, okay, like in Basilosaurus, but they still have the whole pelvic structure. They still have a femur, they still have a tibia, fibula, and toe bones, complete with little hooves on the ends. And then as we see, the first thing that started going, if you could say that, is the bottom half of the leg, the tibia, fibula, and foot bones disappear while the femur remains along with this. And of course, like all mammals, this ischiocavernosa muscle attached to the base of the penis, okay, attached to the ramus here, ischiopubic ramus. Sorry, I try to keep all this in my head at once. Then what happens is the femur becomes reduced to just a little tiny structure fused to this structure. The these iliac, the crest of the ilia disappear almost completely. And so what you're left with is a small structure whose only purpose it is, because there's no longer legs to hold, no longer any support needed, its only purpose is to mount these muscles to, as again, serving the same function it serves in all mammals. In more advanced whales, like dolphins and such, this is just a slim bone that almost looks like a rib with these muscles attached to it. While in the Balanoptera, the great whales, and then the Balenidae, like the bowhead whales, they still have this. They still have part of the femur. Actually, even the sperm whale has the femur head is still there. It's fused. In adults, it's fused. In juveniles, it's not fused. As explained, these so-called ischia, as you call them, never had to develop in whales. They were always present in. They're present in mammals. All mammals have them. Whales just lost a lot of this other structure associated with these ischia. Okay, if that makes sense. And elephants. Why wouldn't elephants have their the crura attached to this muscle attached to their pelvis? They're mammals, right? Elephants are mammals. Their penis is mounted to the bone structure just the same way every other mammal is.
If to have evidence of what you're claiming, we would have to have these bones in some form of creature would have had to have been long enough that they extend from the what you might call a pelvis of the whale. There's no evidence for either.
Whales don't have pelvis.
Right, exactly. They would have. No evidence of that either.
Whales don't have a pelvis? There's something funny to me about showing a close-up of a whale's pelvis as your picture of choice while talking about whales having no pelvis. All right? Sorry. Yeah, Lithodid man doesn't have a right hand. I don't have a right hand. I am completely lacking a right hand.
Some illustrations show it had fins. Some show that it had none.
Well, it doesn't need bones to have fins. It could have cartilage or just fatty stuff.
Really? Well then, why is it that in some depictions they depict it as a creature that has legs? Some depict it as creatures with fins only. And some depict it with none.
So are you suggesting that the reason that some illustrations of Basilosaurus don't show these rudimentary hind limbs and others do is because we evolutionists don't know what's going on? I'm going to tell you why. There's a really simple explanation, and one I think you could have figured out yourself, but you weren't ever looking, as usual. The reason is that those hind legs of Basilosaurus weren't discovered until 1990 in the Valley of the Whales. Gingerich and others studying Basilosaurus in Egypt in a place called the Valley of the Whales found intact Basilosaurus vertebrae structures with these legs in place, proving beyond a shadow of a doubt that these legs were attached to that skeleton, or these were a part of that same skeleton. Before that, it wasn't known. Some of these bones had been found of these tiny back legs, but they were never known they weren't thought to even be associated because they were very, very different from the rest of the skeleton. It wasn't known that they were part of that. Finding them in place, intact, showed us that where they fit. So illustrations before 1990 don't have those because we didn't know they existed.
I mean, to no longer be to become attached, because as it moved from land into the ocean, its reproductive organs would have had to evolve so that they attached to these ischia bones. But we have no evidence of any kind of life form in the world which has its, on land, which has its reproductive organs attached to bones which move as it walks like that, because that would cause such gross internal injury that the organism wouldn't survive. It's not capable. It's not possible.
And so, by no evidence, NephilimFree is referring. The no evidence he's referring to is the 5,400 species of mammal who walk that have the base of their penis attached to structures that move when they walk. Okay, so just in conclusion, again, NephilimFree, you're sort of doing your usual, which is hoping to baffle them with bullshit, hiding your ignorance by throwing out a whole bunch of terms and talking very authoritatively about stuff you don't know anything about, you cannot pronounce properly, you've obviously never seriously researched it outside of looking for ways to debunk what you believe to be current evolutionary thought.